Entitled mum gets her daughter and her friends to accuse me of rape and demand that I be kicked from an art contest. Some backstory. This happened when I was 15 and I just moved to a new high school and I knew no one. Due to my first name and appearance, everyone assumed that I was a boy without asking or at least trying to figure it out. But my first name is a unisex name, most commonly used by boys, and I wear clothes from the boys section because, well, I like the style. I was also flat-chested, so yeah, everyone thought I was a boy. I didn't care though. I mean, I'm not gender fluid or anything, was born female and no one was doing it maliciously. I was also too socially awkward to correct anyone. So, here's the actual story. About 2 weeks after I came to the school, there was an art contest, nature-themed. Being the loner I was, I spent a lot of time outside, which made the contest perfect for me. I drew a bear in a cave hibernating with leaves falling around it and a ghost-like drawing of the bear's ancestors in the background. Another girl drew a picture of a bunch of deer running through a field. This girl was the entitled girl, e.g., and as awful as the girl was, I thought her art was beautiful. Such talent was wasted on her. One guy that I knew pretty well drew a dog stalking a fox that was stalking a rabbit. The stalking guy, SG. Everyone else, like 4 other people, did casual stuff like a field of flowers, birds in a tree. Oh, and another guy did a picture of a squirrel giving birth. Sadly, it wasn't that detailed. Anyway, EG looked over at my drawing. Hey, you know, it would be a lot better if you spent more time on the rock. She smiled innocently while gesturing at the bear. That's not a rock, it's a bear. Oh, gotcha. Sometimes boys just draw so vague and abstractly, not a lot of primary contrast. Yeah, she said a lot of big art-related words to sound smart. Primary contrast? If you don't understand it now, you'll never get it. She waves her hand dismissively and walked away. The contest host announced the 3 winners. Those 3 would advance to the next round. SG got first, I got second, and EG got third. Now, SG was super popular, so she, EG, went up and congratulated him while glaring at me. After she left, I talked to SG for a bit, and the next day I got to my locker and "Rapist" is written across it in red paint. Everyone is staring at me, whispering. EG walked by with a security guard. That's him. That's the boy who raped me. I'm asked to go with them, and I do. People were screaming at me and calling me names, and someone even threw a half-eaten burger at me. McDonald's morning cravings, I guess. We get to the office, though, and EG's mum is standing next to the principal's desk with the smuggest look on her face. The principal says, "Do you know why you're here?" I think so." "Don't play games, you little shit. You raped my daughter." There was some fake crying. "Yeah, he did." "Did you?" "No." "Don't lie. You held her down and you raped her." Light bulb moment. "With what?" "With your penis. How else?" "Principal, I don't know what to say other than she's lying." No, I'm not. My friends witnessed it." F1 and F2 got called into the office. "Your parents are on their way. Do you want to wait for them?" "No, I want to hear what F1 and F2 have to say." They tell their story about how I raped EG outside the back of the school, keeping it short and simple. And at this, I just started to laugh. "How fucking dare you? You rape my angel and then you laugh at her? You should be kicked from the art contest." And I'm still laughing, but the room has gone silent apart from me. "Quiet!" He is livid and starts tearing me a new one. Well, he would have been if I actually did it. Then SG walked in with papers for P. He looks around at all of us. Is this a bad time?" "Hey, SG, tell me what we did last night." Sure, we got food and watched a movie at my place." "Liar! You probably raped my sweetheart as well." EG freaks out. "No, Mum, he didn't. It was just them. SG did nothing wrong, I promise." "But if he was with SG, then how did he rape you?" "Are you calling her a liar? Just kick him from the contest and we won't sue." "I'm sorry, but the way you describe what happened makes it impossible for me to do it." What do you mean? Are you calling me a liar? Yes. This boy... I'm not a boy. The room fell quiet again. The girl's and EM's face went white. P looked confused and SG had a look of realization. Oh, so that's why you wear your PE clothes under your normal ones. The entitled mum goes ballistic, screaming and shouting about how I'm lying, and my parents get here and they confirm that I'm a girl. EM got chewed out by our principal and kicked off the parent association thing while EG and her shitty friends were suspended for a week. EG was kicked from the contest and banned from participating in any of them for the rest of the year. And she had to pay for the paint to be cleaned off. I'm in my junior year at school and some people from my year are still debating on my real sex and gender. Entitled mum accuses me of stealing my own car keys. So this happened yesterday, and yes, it was as stupid as it sounds. So, for some quick context, I'm a cleaner at a private school. It costs something like £25,000 a year to send your kid here, so you can imagine the amount of rich entitled BS that goes on. You already know who the entitled mum and me are, so let's get into it. So it's about 4 PM and I've been at work for about an hour just getting on with what I'm doing, and the entitled mum comes storming into the classroom that I'm cleaning. You need to move your car. What? Why? Speaking very slowly and loudly for some reason, she says, You need to move your car. Copying her tone. No, I don't. She does some confused blinking. But why are you talking like that? Because you were? Whatever. Just move your stupid car. It's blocking me, and I have an appointment. Lady, my car isn't blocking you. I'm parked along the back row by a hedge, blocking nobody. You're lying. Come and move your car right now. This goes on for about 5 minutes, and eventually, I figure she won't shut up unless I do something. Look, if I prove that my car isn't the one blocking you, will you get out of my face? Finally, just move the stupid thing so I can go. So, I go and get my keys from the cupboard where my stuff is. EM practically glued to my shoulder the whole time. Go to the car park, press the button on my key, and the lights blink on my beat-up Fiat in the corner. See? My car, right there, not blocking anyone. Thinking that was the end of it, I turned to go back to my job, and she started screaming behind me. You stole those keys. That's not your car. Your car's in front of mine. Get your keys right now and move it. Okay, which car do you think is mine? I figured if it was a staff member's car that I could direct her to them. She marched over to a Range Rover, presumably hers, which was blocked in by a brand new Porsche. That's right, a brand new Porsche, and glared at me. I must have stared at her for at least 10 seconds before I just started laughing my ass off. Lady, if you think I could afford that car on my part-time cleaning job, you're delusional. She then started yelling about how I'm deliberately stopping her leaving and she's going to have my car towed, but I just walked away. I don't get paid enough to deal with that crap. I have no idea what happened after that, but I really hope that the Porsche driver didn't leave for another few hours, just to stick it to her. Entitled Bible Thumping Art steals an anime box set that I told her son he couldn't borrow. Then she gets mad because the cartoon is not age appropriate. There was no real damage done, but it was still annoying. A cousin of mine recently got into Studio Ghibli films. He wanted to borrow Spirited Away, and I was okay with that. His folks go to a church in my area, so they agreed to swing by and grab the disc after the service. They come in, and I go to get the disc. My cousin starts asking about some of the other Ghibli films and anime mixed into my DVD collection. Then he points to Soul Eater. It's a great show, but he just turned 13 and it wasn't exactly age appropriate. Plus, I didn't think his parents, mainly his mother, would approve. They're very religious, and the show revolves around soul harvesting, the Grim Reaper, witches, and some fan service. I'm still not sure why Ghibli was okay with them, because of the spirits, witches, and demons, but I was pretty sure that a show called Soul Eater would tip that Jenga tower. So, when he asked if he could borrow it, I said no. That no seemed to catch my aunt's attention, and she was by my cousin's side in a flash. She asked why I couldn't borrow it, and I told her that it may not be age appropriate. Then she says something along the lines of, "It's a cartoon, it's meant for children, you're a grown woman, you shouldn't have this anyway." I was a little irritated, but stood firm. Instead, I let the kid borrow my neighbor Totoro as well as Spirited Away, and they went home. I thought everything was good until an hour ago. I received a call from my screaming aunt. She accused me of trying to corrupt her son with vulgarity and Satanism. I was lost at first, and then she mentioned a demon and a naked Catwoman being in the first episode. I checked my shelf, and Soul Eater was missing. I'm not sure when she did it, but she had stolen the box set. They're returning the movies next Sunday, and Soul Eater better be with them. I'm hoping she doesn't confiscate it like she does with other ungodly stuff. But that set was around $50 after shipping and handling. It was like the first anime box set that I ever bought, and I will go to war for it. Entitled parents have a meltdown when they can't bully colleges into enrolling their kids. Yeah, it was that time of year. While this did not directly happen to me, I was able to see it a few times in school, and it was hilarious. My high school is one of the hardest in the state, hence why it provides a lot of opportunities for great colleges. I'm currently a senior, and I know exactly where I want to go. I understand how damn important my grades are junior and senior year, and I have to take it a lot more seriously than I did my first 2 years. You do hard work and you get rewarded for it. Unfortunately, a lot of students and parents in my area don't agree with this sentiment. I live in a fairly upper-class town, and not rich but pretty well off. So it's no surprise that a lot of people living here are stuck up and basically snobby. There's a notorious gang of EPs that's known all through elementary and middle school for threatening and bribing the school to let their kids pass and give them second chances. They mostly got away with this behavior for a good 8 years too. But then college applications rolled around, and oh boy, did these EPs lose their minds. Here's the thing they refuse to accept. Colleges are not high schools. Well, I've heard from a lot of friends who graduated that college wasn't as stressful as our school, but they are not obligated to put up with your crap, or your parents' crap. They will not be bullied into your demands, and you're sure as hell not going to get away with trying to bribe your precious baby into their schools. The only way you get into those schools is through hard work and good behavior, both of which the kids of these EPs had none of. Anyway, on to the rage. I remember walking into school at around 6:30 AM to meet with my guidance counselor, only to hear screaming and shouting coming from the student resources room. I straight up grimaced because I had to wait in there for my counselor, and I knew what they were yelling about too. I walk in and, what do you know, the Karen squad is surrounding one of the staff and berating her about college admissions. These parents were demanding that they contact the colleges about why their kids were rejected, and when the person told them that they can't do that at that moment, the parents exploded. I have to sit across from this one mum who's red-faced and looks like she's about to kill someone, all because her precious little angel girl didn't get accepted to her dream school. Thankfully, I got called back into my counselor's office pretty early, and we went over which of the schools on my list that I wanted to attend. I asked her what the hell the people outside were so angry about, and she said, parents not getting what they want. It happens every single year. But when I'm leaving, I hear literal screeching in the hallway. It's a Karen on her cell phone spewing venom at a college admin for explaining why her daughter was not accepted. She kept threatening him with imaginary charges and even physical violence. My guess is that the dude on the other end just laughed and hung up on her because she started screaming and slamming her purse on the ground right after. It's always really funny watching terrible parents stomp their feet and cry when they learn that their manipulation tactics don't work on the education system anymore. They've been harassing and threatening their child's journey through school for so many years that when that power is just finally taken away, they throw a toddler-level tantrum and scream how it's unfair. Classmates' parents refused to give me any food because I had apparently sinned. So I was probably 5, and I wasn't very proficient in English since I just immigrated from China and knew very little about the language when this happened. My schoolmates' parents invited me over to have dinner while my parents were out. There are a couple of things that you should know from back then. One is that this was a religious family while my parents were atheist or agnostic at the time. And 2, the kid and I did not like each other. We sat down to dinner, and as soon as everyone was seated, I took a bite like we did at home, and that was when the mother reached across the table and yanked the plate away from me. "In this house," she said, glaring at me, "we pray before we eat. We're not heathens." I looked at my classmate to see what to do. I put my hands together like he did. "Not like that," she screeched. Apparently, I needed to fold my hands properly. I did as I was told. The dad then proceeded to give what had to have been the longest prayer ever. It probably wasn't long at all, but I was 5 and hungry, didn't really understand what was happening, and had never heard a prayer before. After he finished, the mum looked at me and said, "For stealing from God, you'll wait until we finish before you eat." She then lectured me on how awful I was and how I was going to hell for not praying properly or knowing about prayer. Reminder, I was 5 years old. My classmate said that he wanted seconds when he was done with his plate, and she handed him my plate. In other words, I didn't get dinner. I started crying because, well, hungry and 5 years old. She was screaming at me to stop crying, and I was ruining dinner for everyone. And this was when my mother rang the doorbell, and at the time, she could speak English fairly well, albeit with some mistakes, so she could understand most of what the family was saying. I jumped up and ran to her in tears, and suddenly, the family was all smiles and politeness. She told my mum I was picky, so I wouldn't eat my food, so I was probably hungry. We got out to the car, and my mother asked what really happened. I was not a picky eater. I mean, I'd eat anything, still will. And I told her everything. My mother stormed out of the car, pounded on the door, and gave the woman a piece of her mind. To this day, I wonder what sect of Christianity they claim to be, because even though I'm not a Christian, I've known many for years, and I'm pretty sure that God never said to treat someone else's kids like absolute crap before. Entitled Mum thinks that she owns my apartment and that I'm her personal assistant. So, a bit of context. My mum, the entitled mum, and my sister, entitled sister, live halfway across the country. In the Netherlands, that's about a 90-minute drive. Me and my girlfriend live in an apartment away from them, and we already had a troubled past with her. Entitled Mum had to have her house cleaned because there was mold everywhere, so she decided that without consulting me or my girlfriend that she could go to my apartment and stay there for a week. Well, when I came home from work, I saw her sitting on the couch with my entitled sister playing on her phone, and the following conversation ensued. What are you guys doing here without any of us? We gave you guys a key just for emergencies." "Well, yes, there is an emergency. My house is being cleaned and I don't want to stay in a hotel." "So you drove for 90 minutes to stay here? What about your job and ES's school? It isn't a break." "Because I have to work. I'm a teacher." "We'll just go really early in the morning to be in time, okay?" "Well, let me discuss this with my girlfriend because this is our house, alright?" I called my girlfriend and explained, and she said fine, but I had to make a few rules for them. So the rules were to not go into our bedroom or in my study room and to stay out of the liquor cabinet, but they could sleep on the couch and eat with us for dinner. It went well for 2 days, and they went to work and school really early, came back late, and they didn't go where they didn't belong. Until day 3 out of 5 when I got about 20 calls from ES, so in my break I called to see what happened. This is around 1500. "Hey, so Mum said that you were going to pick me up at 13:30? Where are you?" I won't do any such thing. I have to work until 1700. "So what am I supposed to do?" I hung up at this point. Later that night, EM and ES came home. "Why didn't you pick up your sister?" "Because I had to work till 5, just like the other days." "Then why didn't you say that you had family over?" "Because you sprang this whole visit upon me." EM shouts and tells me to pay for train tickets, then runs into my study, breaking the lock in the progress. "Listen, you get 5 minutes to get your stuff and leave my house, or I'll be calling the cops." She left, but later I got a call from her saying that I had to pay for a hotel and her dinner. And I blocked her on every single social media.